People look at my music and imagine brilliance, genius, destiny. But before the applause, before the grand halls and symphonies, my life began with a truth I learned too early. Some of us are born into silence long before we lose our hearing. I was born in Bonn, a small city in Germany near the Rhine River. People now imagine my childhood as poetic, but life in our house was far from a melody. My father, a church singer and musician, believed music could shape me into the next Mozart. His method was harsh. He woke me in the middle of the night, dragged me to the piano, and forced my small hands to obey the keys until they burned. I was only a child, but in our poor family, talent was the currency of survival. I learned early that music could save you, and it could destroy you. As I grew older, my world expanded beyond the walls of that dark home. I began performing, earning money for my family long before I understood what childhood was supposed to feel like. People called me a prodigy, and hope, a fragile, new feeling, entered my life. I left Bonn for Vienna, the heart of European music, to study with Joseph Haydn, the great master. Vienna felt like a promise. Bright salons, influential patrons, endless possibilities. For a moment, I allowed myself to believe that life could finally soften. But destiny had other plans. Around the age of 26, I noticed something strange. During conversations, people's lips moved, but the words faded. I heard buzzing, ringing, and silence creeping into every sound. I hid it from everyone. A composer who cannot hear is a paradox too cruel to explain. I wrote letters, cried in secret, and battled the fear that my art, my voice, was slipping away. Still, I composed. Sometimes I pressed my ear to the wooden floor to feel the vibrations of the piano. Sometimes I conducted with wild movements, pretending I could hear the orchestra behind me. My notebooks were full of anger and hope, living side by side, like two storms colliding. Love didn't rescue me. I fell in love, but the women I adored were always out of reach. Perhaps that is why I wrote the immortal beloved letter. It was my only way to confess a feeling that life refused to accept. Years passed. My hearing vanished completely. Silence became my companion, yet it taught me something strange. When the outside world disappeared, the inner world grew louder. Themes, harmonies, entire symphonies rose inside me, burning to be born. Deafness did not stop me. It pushed me deeper. The day my ninth symphony premiered, I stood with my back to the orchestra, following the music I could no longer hear. When it ended, I kept conducting, trapped in my silent universe. Someone touched my arm and turned me around. The audience was on their feet, shouting, clapping, crying. They saw what I could not hear. For a moment, I felt the world embrace me. Not long after, illness and loneliness arrived together. My final years were difficult. Too many debts, too few friends, and a body that refused to obey the will that once shook entire halls. But I kept writing until the very end. Music was the one thing that never abandoned me. If my life taught me anything, it's this. Fate may close every door, but the mind builds new rooms. And inside those rooms, even silence can sing.